Good morning, everybody. Thanks very much for making the trip here. For those of you coming across the Sound, we just wanted to provide this opportunity to allow you to ask some questions. Maybe having had a chance to read through the RFP, we have some department heads here with us. David Gray, our sewer director. Chief Cranston, our fire chief, Leslie Snell, our planning director, and members of our Affordable Housing Trust. Rima Sherry is the vice chair. Brian Sullivan is the chair. He'll be joining us shortly. And select board member Brooke Moore. And maybe before we get into some of the specifics about this location and the timetable and so forth regarding that, I might invite Brooke to just say a few words with a mouthful of apple about just the importance of housing, where things are at on Nantucket, and kind of give a sense of the priority that this is for the select board.
I've served on the Affordable Housing Trust for, I don't know, 67 was elected to the select board. I just passed my 1-year anniversary. Housing is the single greatest priority for the select board. And as it turns out now for the community as well. We've gotten significant financial support from the community in funding $67 million of overrides and debt exclusions up till this year's town meeting. And at this year's town meeting, we allocated $2 million in the annual budget, and the voters passed a $6.5 million permanent tax override. So we now have the funding we need to move projects forward, and we had been utilizing the money to acquire properties, and with the primary goal of staying in safe harbor under Chapter 40B. So the development we're looking at now is part of that plan to keep us in safe harbor and continue to develop units at multiple income levels, but holding on to that 25% at 80% AMI or below to ensure that all the units count on our subsidized housing inventory. We've gone from 1.9% on our shy list to 6.7% since I've been in this game. And we're really proud of that, and we are aiming to 10. Pending on our readjustment. But this project is an important piece of the puzzle as a community that we're putting together, and we're really excited that you all are here and interested in looking at the project. And let's get it going. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Brooke. And I'll mention that Paul Berard has joined us from our DPW as well. So, the main goal with this project, obviously, is to get year-rounders into quality, stable, affordable to them housing, as Brooke pointed out, at a variety of income levels. Safe harbor is a consideration, something that we need to keep our eye on as a community, and we are presently in a period of safe harbor until December 2024, and this project we would like to see be part of that next period of safe harbor. So with that, we just had a couple of slides, very, very short. Charles, is that possible to put those up? So perfect. We just thought we would go over the timetable. You've seen it in the package, but some important upcoming deadlines are the inquiries deadline on Wednesday, July 6th at 1 o'clock. Proposal submission deadline is Wednesday, August 2nd at 3 p.m. And then we anticipate having presentations in early September with the goal of selecting a developer by early to mid-October. The site on the next slide, for anyone who isn't already familiar, and I apologize, it's a little hard to see here, but toward the center of that diagram, you can see opposite that arced driveway is the location we're talking about, 135, 137 Orange Street. On the corner at Dave Street, thanks very much, Charles. On the corner at Dave Street is 141 Orange Street, which is not part of the site proper, but that was land acquired collaboratively by our land bank and the Affordable Housing Trust. And what that allows is an access easement across the back portion, kind of the, I guess it would be the southwestern property line of 141 Orange Street for the benefit of the site. So we'll, for those who want to go and visit the actual location immediately following this session, we'll be pointing all this out in detail there. I mentioned Brian Sullivan, the chair of our Affordable Housing Trust, has joined us as well. So with that, this is really your meeting. Any questions that you have for the folks I've mentioned that are in the room, we would be more than happy to try to address them today or follow up and get you answers at an additional point. And not everyone at once. Yeah.
Just to super clarify.
And I'm going to ask you to come up to the microphone just so that we get this recorded. Thank you.
Got it. Check. So just a simple clarification. So within the body of the RFP, there's a August 2nd date and an August 23rd date for submission. So I just want to be super clear. In the table at the top, it says August 2nd, but down when it says submission deadline, it talks about the 23rd.
Submission of questions, maybe, versus submission.
No, I see. Yep. Thank you, Kevin. Yep, I see.
I saw it right here.
Yeah. Almost proposal was received by. So that is an excellent point. So this was issued by the procurement office. We do not have a procurement person here, but we will clarify that.
If a 3 got dropped on the first one, or
Yes. Well, an excellent question, and we will make sure to clarify that in an addenda for today. Yeah. Yes. Would you mind going to the microphone? Thank you. Sorry.
It's just that the slide said 26th July and you said 6th for the...
July 26th is the inquiries deadline. Yeah.
Looking at the timeline, it's only a week between inquiries and proposal submission, so it's likely the 23rd of August.
yeah, it's worth clarifying.
Oh, no, we absolutely will be clarified. Yeah. There was clearly an inconsistency between the dates. So I don't want to speculate on what procurement intended, but we will clarify that. Yeah.
So, obviously when you're doing affordable housing, subsidy creates affordability. Is there any type of guidance that we should work with just on local funds, availability of local funds? Or is it kind of do the math, propose what's a certain mix of affordability and, that's your proposal? Does the question make sense?
I think so. Yeah.
I believe there's going to be some subsidy needed. Is there any guidance on town appetite, or is that something that you're looking for proposers to identify?
So I would answer it this way, and I would ask Brian Sullivan if he wanted to add anything to it. But there are several different projects that are currently happening on the island and at various stages. So the Richmond project along Old South Road has restricted income units at a variety of levels. Some of that has been facilitated by the Affordable Housing Trust. So originally that project started out with just 80% restricted units, and through some buy down and acceleration programs that the trust entered into, there are units in that development now at the 50, 70, 80, 100, 110, and 120 level. And we can provide more detail about that particular project. But similarly, there's a project at 31 Fairgrounds Road, a 22-unit project where all of those units will be, and these are, I'm just talking about rental, all of those units will be restricted at income levels between 80 and 150. Similarly, there's a large-scale project at 6 Fairgrounds Road, sometimes referred to as Tacoma Green, and that project had been held up for a bit by a neighbor appeal, kind of got through that court process, and then because of the significant escalation in construction costs during the pandemic, that project had to go back and seek some additional subsidy from the state, which it recently was awarded. So that project now will be moving forward. Approximately 90% of the 64 units are restricted at the 30, 60, and then the single biggest chunk actually is at 120 for that project. So we would expect a proposal to do some analysis, if you will, on the market and what is being offered, where holes may need to be filled, and and then therefore the subsidy requirement would correspond to what the proposal was designed around, and the compelling case for why support these subsidy levels. Yeah.
I'm Brian Sullivan. I'm the chair of the Affordable Housing Trust. I'll follow that up with just saying that there is significant subsidy in the project with the land lease, the way we look at it that way. We do have 4 RFPs coming out this year, so this is not the only project that we're looking at in its entirety. But the trust hasn't discussed anything in particular to this, but I will say that the community at the ballot and at town meeting supported affordable housing with an override, so it's something that we can look forward thinking about. I wouldn't say that it's off the table, but we do have a lot of other projects upcoming as well to be considering.
Well, if there are no other questions, sorry.
Hello, can you elaborate more how you got to the no more than 32?
Sure.
With the need so noticeable?
That's a great question. So 32 is the number that is allowed under the zoning for this particular location, which is our commercial mid-island location. When you combine the land area of the 2 lots. And really a principle of what the Affordable Housing Trust has been deploying capital to is projects that conform with local zoning. And I guess I'll just take the opportunity to mention again for anyone who isn't familiar, but in addition to the permitting process, and this would be a special permit through the planning board, we have a local historic district commission which must review all design and approve before a project can be built. And I guess I would just say, in our experience, we have we've seen the benefit of reaching out to the HDC relatively early on in the process to, perhaps in an informal way, but to get some input before going before the board formally.
Hello. Question about the page 21. There's a sky view, an aerial view, and it just looked like part of the parking lot of the Rogers and Gray building is on that lot line, within the lot. So just wondering, is that an easement for the Rogers and Gray building, or?
So there are some mutual benefiting easements. So in terms of access to our location at 135 Orange, we have benefit of that existing drive, which we will point out when we go over to the site. And there is some benefit to the Rogers and Gray building in terms of the parking.
Okay. Is it detailed in here in some place?
I believe that it is, but we can, if there isn't, sufficient information to, understand the exact nature of the easement, we can have town council provide that.
Thank you.
So the RFP contemplates a bus stop, and it talks about design. So it says include in your design a bus stop. Is it expected that the project should also include the cost and the execution of the bus stop?
So just to orient you, right now, the local transit authority and our NRTA has about one of the main bus routes is along the Orange Street corridor, and presently you can see, if you're going inbound, and again we'll witness this at the site, but you're going inbound to town, there is a bus shelter location on the inbound side. There is not one on the outbound side, and the NRTA shuttle presently stops in the middle of Orange Street in order to have passengers get on and off the bus. You can imagine during the busy season, traffic can build up behind that and so forth. And so we see this property as an opportunity to maybe help solve a situation there. In terms of cost, we would expect that it would, in effect, be incorporated into the overall proposal. There may, I don't want to like it may be beneficial to reach out to the land bank folks, which are noted in the RFP, and chat with them a bit about, solving that particular issue. Yeah.
It also just occurred to me there may be funding through our Regional Transit Authority for some of that as well. So I will do some inquiries with our transportation manager, the bus, and see whether there might be some money in the budget to help with that. So.
Okay. And just sort of one last pass here on, any questions regarding sewer, fire, DPW, planning. While we have these folks here, to the extent that there are questions now, obviously there's plenty of time to still forward questions, and those will get answered. But I just thought we'd take one more pass before we adjourn here and head over to the location for those that would like to go. All right, I think we're done. I want to thank everyone for coming this morning, and maybe we'll just gather outside for those that would like to go to the location, just to make sure everyone has transportation and so forth, and we'll head right over there. So thank you all very much for being here.
Just to let you know, Verizon is working right in front of the landmark house right now, so traffic's pretty bad right there. I was just down there marking up the sewer.
We'll go around the back.
Yeah, I would say probably
Okay,
Basin Street.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, David.